One Day by David Nicholls. The story begins in Edinburgh on July 15th, 1988, St. Swithin's Day, the morning after university graduation. Emma Morley, bright, principled, with a slight Yorkshire accent and self-conscious about her appearance behind large glasses, lies in her small student bed with Dexter Mayhew. Dexter is strikingly handsome, confident, and comes from a privileged background. He possesses an easy charm, but is perceived by Emma as somewhat shallow. They have spent the night talking and kissing after meeting at a party, though they haven't actually slept together in the fullest sense. Their conversation weaves through post-graduation anxieties and aspirations. Emma hopes to make a difference in the world, perhaps through writing, while Dexter, less defined, vaguely mentions wanting to be rich or famous before embarking on travels through France, China, and India. Emma dismisses his travel plans as predictable escapism for the wealthy. She teases him with a playfully grim prediction of his life at 40, wealthy, tanned, driving a silent hover car through Chelsea with a much younger, vapid fourth wife, having achieved superficial success but little connection. He, in turn, finds her room filled with political posters and art postcards, predictably arty and bourgeois in its own way, a term he knows she uses negatively but which he embraces. Despite their banter and underlying differences, an undeniable attraction exists. As dawn breaks, Dexter, initially planning a swift, silent departure common after such encounters, finds himself intrigued by Emma. He wakes and playfully challenges his attempt to sneak away. They discuss the superstition of St. Swithin's Day. If it rains today, it will rain for 40 days. Impulsively, perhaps touched by their connection or her vulnerability, Dexter agrees to Emma's suggestion that they spend the day together, abandoning his initial plan to leave Edinburgh immediately. He fakes a phone call to his parents, rescheduling his departure to the following day, a deception Emma doesn't detect, believing he's changing plans for her. 1 year later, July 15th, 1989, finds their lives diverging significantly. Emma is in Wolverhampton, part of a struggling theater and education group called Sledgehammer Theatre Cooperative. She's touring a didactic play about the slave trade, Cruel Cargo, performing in schools and community halls. Her colleagues include the earnest Kwame, the cynical Sid, a washed-up former TV actor, the irritatingly vain Candy, who insists on doing yoga warm-ups in lingerie, and the intense director, Gary Nutkin, with whom Emma once had an awkward romantic encounter. Emma feels disillusioned, stuck in a poorly paid, unglamorous job, questioning if she's truly making a difference or wasting her potential. She writes long, revealing letters to Dexter, filled with forced humor and barely concealed longing, detailing her frustrations and mocking her colleagues. She considers moving to London, where her former flatmate Tilly Killick, loud, opinionated, has offered her a tiny box room in Clapton. Meanwhile, Dexter is in Rome, teaching English at a language school. A job landed after his travels, China proving too ideological, India more satisfyingly hedonistic. He's blithely engaged in an affair with a 19-year-old Danish student, Tove Engström, justifying the ethical lapse with youthful self-absorption. He meets his parents, who are visiting. His mother, Alison, effortlessly chic, charismatic, perceptive, expresses concern about Dexter's lack of direction. She fondly recalls Emma, that nice girl, a bit of fire, and encourages Dexter to settle down. Though outwardly lighthearted, Alison hints at deeper worries, asking Dexter to meet her alone the next day for a serious talk, leaving him with a sense of unease. July 15th, 1990. Emma is now in London, working a dead-end waitressing job at a dreadful Tex-Mex theme restaurant, Loco Caliente, in Kentish Town. The job is soul-crushing, managed by the defeated Scott. The soundtrack an endless loop of La Cucaracha. She endures the fish burritos and the general awfulness, alongside a new colleague, Ian Whitehead, a large, friendly, aspiring stand-up comedian with a slightly goofy manner and a West Country burr hidden beneath attempts at cool. Ian is immediately smitten and asks Emma out to see his comedy gig. She politely declines, claiming exhaustion. She feels trapped in the graveyard of ambition, her double first degree seemingly useless, her creative aspirations stalled. In Bombay, Dexter, having been fired from his teaching job in Rome for moral unfitness, sleeping with Tove, is reveling in the freedom and experiences of traveling in India. He's taking photographs, experimenting with readily available drugs, and enjoying the cheap living. He writes an enthusiastic, drunken letter to Emma, full of unsolicited advice. He critiques her perceived fear of happiness and tendency towards self-deprecation, urging her to seize life. He insists she is attractive and intelligent and deserves better than her current life. He then makes a grand romantic proposal. She must quit her job and flat immediately, fly to India, he will wire the money, and meet him under the central dome of the Taj Mahal at noon on August 1st, his birthday. He mentions his mother's unspecified illness means he must return home eventually. After writing, Dexter has second thoughts, finding the letter mawkish and revealing, but decides to post it anyway. That evening, however, he gets drunk and goes off with Renee Van Houten, a Dutch trainee pharmacist. He carelessly leaves his copy of E.M. Forster's Howard's End, a gift from Emma, containing her inscription and the crucial letter, tucked in a sofa at the bar. It's found by Heidi Schindler, a grumpy German student. Heidi reads the letter, recognizes its significance, and wishes she could ensure it reaches Em. But with no address for either Emma or Dexter, she keeps the book and the unsent letter where it remains, forgotten, for years. Emma never receives the invitation to the Taj Mahal. By July 15th, 1991, Emma is still waitressing at Loco Caliente. Though Ian Whitehead has become her close friend and confidant within the grim establishment, Scott, the manager, offers Emma his job as he's moving on, seeing her as reliable and unlikely to leave. The offer plunges Emma into deeper despair about her lack of progress. She feels fat, unattractive, and stuck, writing bleak poetry about nachos in the staff room. Dexter, meanwhile, has successfully transitioned into the world of television. Following up on the contact made in India, he's rapidly climbed the ladder at Red Light Productions, now an assistant producer on a popular chaotic youth TV show called Up For It. He embraces the fast-paced, image-conscious media world, loving the perks, the parties, the sense of being current and successful. He arrives at Loco Caliente with his latest girlfriend, Naomi, sharp, stylish, edgy. Emma feels humiliated serving them, especially when Dexter tries to clumsily give her a cash tip. Later, they meet on Primrose Hill. Emma confronts him about his behavior. He apologizes. He regales her with tales of his exploits with Naomi, involving drugs and casual sex. Emma is weary of his lifestyle. Feeling inadequate beside the fashionable Londoners enjoying the summer evening, she lashes out when Dexter suggests she take ecstasy or criticizes her lack of love life. He offers, half-jokingly, to marry her if she's still single at 40. She dismisses it. She tells him about the manager job offer, and he insists she refuse it, offering instead to get her a job in TV. This sparks a larger argument about their differing values and ambitions, Emma defending teaching and criticizing the media's superficiality. They reconcile, holding hands, but the underlying tensions, her insecurity, his casual disregard, remain. He offers her his sofa for the night. She refuses, determined to finally make changes in her life. July 15th, 1992, sees them on a Greek island-hopping holiday together. They are, for the moment, just friends. Emma has ended a brief relationship with a bicycle repairman named Spike. Dexter is involved with Ingrid, a formidable model-turned-stylist. To avoid complications on holiday, they've established the rules of engagement. Separate bedrooms, no flirting. No holiday flings, no nudity, no Scrabble. On the ferry, Dexter is recognized from his new TV show, Large in It, always lowercase. Much to Emma's amusement, she teases him about his fame and his affected Cockney presenter voice. Arriving on a beautiful island, Dexter finds accommodation but lies to Emma, claiming the only available room has just one large double bed. Reluctantly, they agree to share, acknowledging the rules are now more like guidelines. On the beach, the tension is palpable. Dexter applies sunscreen to Emma's back. They discover it's a nudist beach. Dexter wants to strip off. Emma refuses, citing the rules and propriety. He teases her, reminding her they saw each other naked that first night in Edinburgh. That evening, over Ritsina, Emma initiates a game, telling secrets. Dexter confesses to kissing a man in a gay club while high. Emma then reveals she had a massive crush on Dexter at university. He deflates her by saying Tilly Killick had already told him. Later, walking on the beach, Dexter suggests a skinny dip. Emma, initially resistant, impulsively joins him. In the moonlit water, Dexter apologizes for being glib earlier, admits he fancied her too but felt unready for commitment. Then, disastrously, he proposes a fling just for the holiday, no strings attached, to get it out of the way for the sake of their friendship. Emma is furious at his crassness and presumption, pushing his head underwater before rejecting him firmly, condemning his need for secrecy. Their argument is interrupted when a thief steals Dexter's expensive designer clothes from the beach. His impotent rage and subsequent walk back to their room wearing a blue plastic sack provides comic relief, breaking the tension. Back in the shared bed, they hold hands, acknowledging the broken rules but reaffirming their complicated friendship. The unresolved sexual tension hangs heavy in the air. July 15th, 1993 is a day of stark contrast. Dexter's story begins after midnight. His life is now characterized by heavy drug use and frantic, unsatisfying socializing. After a night clubbing and taking drugs with new, superficial friends, Tara, Gibbsy, Bigsy, avoiding his increasingly sober and successful old friend Callum, he ends up back at a flat in Brixton. As dawn approaches, gripped by panic about the day ahead and desperate to avoid being alone, he fakes an excuse to leave. He drives his sports car erratically towards his parents' home in Oxfordshire, nearly crashing, drinking vodka in a pub car park before 11:45 a.m. He arrives to find his mother, Alison, is now terminally ill with cancer and greatly deteriorated. His interactions with his family are fraught with guilt and misunderstanding. He tries to maintain a facade of normalcy, but his hungover, drugged state is obvious. Alison gently confronts him about his shallow TV career and expresses her worry that he's not very nice anymore. He feels inadequate, but overwhelmed, eventually carrying his frail mother upstairs to rest. Seeking solace, he takes Valium from the medicine cabinet and sleeps for 6 hours, missing most of the day. Upon waking, He has a final, brief exchange with his mother before his father confronts him. Stephen Mayhew, incensed by Dexter's drunkenness and neglect, confiscates his car keys and drives him to the station, delivering a chilling ultimatum: never visit his mother in such a state again, or he won't be allowed in the house. Left alone and devastated at the station, Dexter calls Emma's answering machine, leaving a rambling, distraught message, confessing to a shitty day and something so bad, before breaking down in tears. Later that night, desperate for company, he calls his ex-girlfriend Naomi, who reluctantly agrees to come over, saving him from utter despair for the moment. Meanwhile, Emma's July 15th, 1993, is marked by burgeoning order and hope. She lives alone in a small Earl's Court flat, embracing domesticity with her Tahiti bed and Egyptian cotton sheets. She has completed her postgraduate certificate in education and has a crucial job interview for a teaching position. Although sometimes lonely, she largely enjoys her independence. That evening, she has a second date with Ian Whitehead. They meet at Forelli's, an Italian restaurant in Covent Garden. Ian, still nervous, bombards her with stand-up routines. Emma, initially exasperated, gently tells him to relax. He opens up about his insecurities, using humor as a shield, and they connect more genuinely. He walks her home, kissing her outside his noisy studio flat on the Caledonian Road. Inside, they kiss more intensely, but Emma feels sick from the brandy. She considers leaving, but dreading her empty flat, accepts Ian's offer to stay the night, just for cuddles. Significantly, while Emma is out on her date, Dexter makes his distressed call to her flat. She leaves just moments before the answering machine picks up, thus missing his plea entirely. On July 15th, 1994, Emma is thriving as an English and drama teacher at Cromwell Road Comprehensive. She's directing the school production of Bolivar and expertly diffuses a backstage fight between the volatile Sonia Richards, playing the Artful Dodger, and the arrogant Martin Dawson, Oliver. She navigates a subtly charged conversation with the headmaster, Phil Godleming, who inappropriately calls her beautiful. The school play is a resounding success, a personal triumph for Emma, leaving her elated. Ian, now her supportive boyfriend, attends the modest after-show party. In stark contrast, Dexter's career is faltering. His new late-night show, Late Night Lock-In, receives scathing reviews. Most odious man on television. Taunted by his co-presenter Toby Moray, Dexter drinks heavily before the live broadcast. The show starts disastrously when his other co-presenter, the popular Suki Meadows, accidentally drinks from his water bottle, which he has spiked with vodka. She retches on air. Dexter freezes. Suki, though furious, professionally saves the segment. Dexter struggles through the rest of the show, feeling inept and hated. Emma watches the broadcast after her own success, concerned by Dexter's obvious distress and possible drunkenness. She leaves a falsely cheerful, supportive message on his answering machine. At the after-party, Dexter feels isolated. Suki confronts him but agrees to dinner, hinting at a potential romance or reconciliation. July 15th, 1995. Emma is living with Ian in a small, slightly depressing flat they bought together in Walthamstow. She's struggling to write, attempting various genres including feminist crime fiction under the pseudonym Emma T. Wilde, but feels blocked and dissatisfied. Ian, though loving, irritates her with his incessant joking and neediness. That evening, she is meeting Dexter for dinner. Ian is jealous and suspicious, revealing he has read her private notebooks chronicling her yearning for Dexter. They have a furious argument, culminating in tearful admissions that the relationship isn't working. Ian leaves. Emma feels a mix of guilt and relief. She prepares for her dinner with Dexter, intending it as a celebration or reconciliation. They meet at the Swithin, a hyper-trendy Soho restaurant. The atmosphere is strained. Dexter is overly concerned with being cool, knowledgeable about cocktails, mixology, and dismissive of Emma's discomfort with the venue's superficiality and the scantily clad cigarette girl. They argue about feminism. Dexter seems preoccupied, frequently visiting the toilets, implied drug use. He mentions a party later, subtly discouraging Emma from attending. The tension escalates until Dexter makes a crass remark comparing Emma's teaching career unfavorably to doing. Those who can, do. Those who can't, teach. Emma snaps. She storms out of the restaurant. In a side alley, she confronts him, accusing him of being drunk, self-absorbed, boring, and changed for the worse. She tells him she doesn't like him anymore and that their friendship is over. She forbids him to call her again. Despite his protests, she walks away, leaving Dexter stunned and alone. Back at the flat, Ian returns to find Emma watching TV. They comfort each other non-committally. Dexter is left alone by the cigarette girl at the bar. The narrative skips ahead. By July 15, 1999, Emma is attending Tilly Killick's lavish third-wave wedding in Somerset. She feels somewhat out of place among the successful couples, but reconnects with Dexter, who is there with Sylvie Cope. Their conversation is friendly, but retains an underlying awkwardness from their falling out years prior. Emma is now a published author. Her first Julie Criskel novel is a success. Dexter's TV career has waned further. He presents Sport Extreme for a satellite channel, feeling it's beneath him. He chats with a newly prosperous Callum O'Neill, who runs a successful organic sandwich chain and offers Dexter vague job opportunities. Later, Dexter seeks Emma out, and they escape the reception to explore the estate's privet maze, sharing champagne and a contraband cigarette. They talk about their lives. Dexter reveals that Sylvie is pregnant and they are getting married in 7 weeks, a shotgun wedding. He shows Emma the ultrasound scan. Emma congratulates him warmly, but expresses sadness, feeling she's losing her best friend again now that he's settling into family life. He reassures her their friendship will endure. As they find their way out of the maze, there's a moment of intense connection, a near kiss, before they rejoin the party. Having seemingly reconciled their friendship, July 15, 2002, Dexter and Emma are a couple, living together mostly at Dexter's Belsize Park flat, though Emma keeps her own place in Hornsey Road. They wake up together. Dexter asks her to move in properly. She hesitates, but agrees to consider buying somewhere together. The unspoken tension is their struggle to conceive a child. Emma gets her period and is deeply disappointed. An argument erupts, ostensibly about the Iraq War, but fueled by their frustration and unspoken anxieties about fertility. Emma suggests they get tested, even considering going private, a sign of her desperation that surprises Dexter. They reconcile awkwardly. Emma goes to her flat to write the final Julie Criskel novel, contemplating a grown-up book next. Dexter goes to his cafe, Belleville Cafe, which is now modestly successful. They exchange apologetic, loving phone messages later. Emma cycles across London in the rain to view a potential house in Kilburn. Distracted, she is hit by a vehicle turning out of a side road. Lying injured on the pavement, her final thoughts are of a childhood photograph and of Dexter waiting for her. Then, Emma dies. July 15th, 2005. 3 years after Emma's death. Dexter is mired in grief, drinking heavily again. He takes his cafe staff out for drinks to celebrate Emma's life, gets belligerently drunk, insists on going to a strip club alone after they abandon him. At Nero's, he drunkenly confides in a stripper named Barbara, becomes enraged when he finds her texting, and is thrown out. Penniless and having lost his keys and wallet, he ends up in a Soho dive bar, deliberately provokes a fight, gets beaten up, and is thrown into bins in an alley. His ex-wife Sylvie finds him collapsed in his flat the next day. His father collects him and takes him back to the family home in Oxfordshire. Dexter confronts his physical and emotional deterioration. He receives a letter from Ian Whitehead. Ian, now happily married with children and working in insurance in Taunton, writes kindly, acknowledging Emma's love for Dexter, forgiving past jealousies, thanking Dexter for making Emma happy in their final years, and urging him to live his life fully. July 15th, 2006, 4 years after Emma's death. Dexter is living with Maddie, his former cafe manager, in a new flat in Gospel Oak. He seems more stable. He makes his annual calls to Emma's parents and other friends. He spends the evening sorting through boxes of Emma's belongings, triggering a flood of memories, postcards, letters, photographs. He finds the photo of them taken on Arthur's Seat on July 15th, 1988. This prompts a detailed flashback to that day. The climb, the picnic, the awkwardness, Emma's "just friends" speech, and the taking of the photograph with the camera timer. July 15th, 2007, 5 years after Emma's death. Dexter is in Edinburgh with Maddie and his daughter Jasmine, now 7.5. He takes Jasmine on a nostalgic tour, visiting Rankiller Street and climbing Arthur's Seat. At the summit, Jasmine asks about Emma. Dexter talks about her being his best friend. The narrative then returns one last time to July 15th, 1988. After leaving Arthur's Seat, Emma and Dexter walk quickly towards his flat, both anticipating intimacy. Their plans are thwarted by the unexpected early arrival of Dexter's parents. Emma feels excluded and leaves, saying a poignant, "Have a nice life." Dexter, realizing he doesn't have her contact details and regretting letting her go, runs after her. They exchange numbers and addresses. He asks her to visit him at his parents' that summer. They share a sweet, tentative kiss on the street. Dexter reflects, "This is where it all begins. Everything starts here, today." ... If you enjoyed this book breakdown, please consider liking this video and subscribing to get notified when we post our next book.